Guys, I want to show you today how to set up and use your e-collar and basically the really important stuff that you need to know about your Mini Educator. So when you open this up, you're going to get an instruction booklet, which is really important to read. I'm going to show you the way that I set it up and use it, and that's the way that I'd really like you to use it. But if you need to use it in a different way, there are other modes in here that you can learn about. It's going to tell you how to turn it on. Now, most of the remotes come in yellow like this. This particular one is pink. You are going to have your receiver and your remote. So the strap comes really long. What I suggest is putting it on your dog. You want to fit it snug, and then you can cut the excess off. We'll go over fit in just a little while. But right now I'm going to show you just how to turn it on. So the first thing that you do on the back of the remote is a button that says on, off, / light, and it has an L on it. You're going to push and hold that in until your screen comes on the front. Then you're going to take this little red dot right here and you're going to match it up with the red dot on this side. It's a magnet and it's going to turn on the collar. Did you see the green light? Now when the collar is set to on, you'll see the green light blinking every few seconds. That's how you know that the collar is working. If the battery gets low, it will start to blink a red light. It's sort of like a reddish orange color light that blinks. So when you press stim, it will, you'll see the red light. So I can hold down continuous and you'll see the red light stays on while it's while the stim is going through the receiver. Okay, so your main point. So now you've got the collar on and the remote is on. We're gonna talk really quickly about the modes. When you turn this on, you want to see 1D flashing up at the top. And you'll see a little, a little M on the left side and a C on the right side. Which that just means momentary and continuous. So this button, the black button, is a momentary stim. It's going to be a really fast, just one little millisecond of stim to the collar. And the red button is going to allow you to hold continuous or just push it for a quick pop. In the training that I do, I only use the red button. I like the stim that it gives better than the momentary. I don't use momentary at all. So this is the only button you need to be concerned with, is the red button. So if your dog, once it's trained, if your dog is not complying with the command, you are just going to pop on the red button, just a quick pop. There are other times in training when you need to hold, and you're just going to hold down the red button, and that will give continuous stim to the collar. Okay, so the other thing you need to know is the dial. So this dial is going to change the level of stim. And the Mini Educator has level 0 through 100. Most dogs have working levels under about 10. So when you're teaching commands, you use low numbers. After your dog comes home from a board and train, they already know all the commands. You are just at that point holding them accountable to the training that they know. And so when you're in correction phase, you're gonna do levels that are higher than the working levels. It depends on the dog. Every dog is different, and I don't want anyone to get locked into the numbers. So a correction for a dog might be 15. And if I say, you know, Fido come, and Fido doesn't come, I'm gonna tap it on 15. If I do not get the dog's attention whatsoever, I'm gonna dial up. So I'm gonna keep my fingers in the same position, and I'm going to dial up. And what I usually do is try a different number. I might go to 20, pop it on 20. If you're still not getting the dog's attention, you're going to roll up and tap higher. And then as soon as the dog comes back, remember to dial back down. It's going to depend on the dog's distraction level. If there is some sort of prey animal, you're going to have to go higher. It just depends on, you know, if you're getting your dog's attention. The other thing that you need to know is the mode button. This button changes the mode. So if I hold this in, you see the momentary is the only one lit on one side and the C is missing. And if I hold it in again, the C is the only one there. And then if I press it again, I'm going to get back to where one dog is blinking and I have momentary and continuous. That's what I want to be on. If for some reason that button gets pushed, you need to go back to this, make sure that you're on one dog, momentary is the black button and continuous is the red button. This button on this side, the T button, is actually a vibration, which I don't use. Normally I do not use this. It actually freaks some dogs out. You need to know how to charge your collar. So if the remote gets low on battery, this green button will blink red also. So if you have a red blinking button and you're not pushing anything, you need to plug your collar in. So in here is your charger, and the charger has a splitter. One will go to your receiver and one will go to the remote. Right here on the back of the remote, there's a little tab. Just gonna pull up on that, and you're gonna plug in one side. And on the inside of the receiver, there is another little tab. It's kind of a gummy, rubbery material. You're gonna pull up on that, pull it over to the side, and plug in the collar. And then just plug this in, and when it's charging, the lights, the red lights, will come on steady. And when it's fully charged, they will stay on steady green. And then you can just unplug it and make sure that you put the flaps all the way down. It keeps water out. And so that is how to work that. Now, a couple of other cool features of the Mini Educator are the flashlight. So at night, when you walk your dog in the evening or at night, the dog will have the collar on, and if you press this on-off L button, the big button on the back, press it one time and it's going to give you a flashing flashlight. And if you press the button again, it's going to give you a continuous flashlight. Sometimes this will freak the dog out. What I suggest is turning it on inside the house before you walk out the door, and then it's sort of like doesn't just come on and scare the dog. And then to turn it off, you just press that same button again, and it's going to go off. So the first time it's going to be flashing, the second time it's going to be continuous, and then the third time it's going to go off. Now, when you're ready to turn your collar off for the night, and you're going to kennel up your dog, you're going to take the collar off, and you're going to match up these red magnets again. And when you do, you're going to see the red light come on. That means that the collar is off, and nothing will be blinking. You don't see any lights blinking, then you know that the battery, it's completely turned off. And then you need to turn off your remote. So that same button that turns on and off the flashlight is your on-off switch. You're going to hold it in until your screen turns off completely. This will go red for a second, and then it turns off. So that's off. Make sure you always turn your collar off when the dog is not using it and you take it off. It'll save your battery. I kind of recommend charging your battery every other day or so, unless you're not using it that much. If you don't end up using, like, once the dog is really well trained and you don't have to use the stim very much, you might get away with more days before you have to charge it. I think it takes about 2 hours to charge, but you can leave it plugged in overnight. It comes with a little lanyard and a little clip. If you like that, you can put it on, and then you can hang it around your neck or whatever you want to do. They also sell other holsters and stuff to put these in if you like to do that. Something that I actually do is I use this little clip, or you can buy these clips separate, and I take the lanyard off and I put a small carabiner through here, and it can hook onto like your belt buckle, belt loop, or the end of a leash. Sometimes I put it through there. So that is that. It also comes with a little battery. It's like a stim tester and a little wrench that takes off the contact points if you need to change contact points. So what comes on your collar are just standard regular contact points for just short-haired dogs, regular short-haired dogs. If you need to take them off and change them, you're going to put this little wrench on and turn it left, and that will loosen those. And then you can put on, these are long hair contact points. If you're really struggling with getting good connection with a dog, these are not the contact points that I recommend. Usually, you can try these and they might work, but if you have a really thick furred dog, you're going to want to get the thick fur contact points. It's going to have like a smaller metal part that will help get through the thick undercoat. They also make other contact points. They make stim reducer. They make a comfort pads for dogs that wear the collar for long periods of time. What's really important is that, and everyone please take note of this, it is extremely, extremely important, probably the most important thing about your e-collar. The collar is going to be on one side of your dog's neck. To get good fit on the dog, it's going to be left or right of center. Like, you got your dog's neck here, and you're going to want it over here, up at the top, as high up as you can go, and you need it to be snug, so that when you hold on to the receiver and try to spin it, once it's clipped, you can't easily spin it. If it's spinning very easily, it's too loose and you're not going to get good contact. You need it to be snug, but not overly tight. and you don't want to be able to spin it. That being said, the most important thing is every 4 hours or so, you need to take the collar off and rotate it to the other side of the neck. If you don't rotate the collar, dogs can actually get pressure sores, which are kind of like bed sores, just from it being snug up against the skin and not moving. So every 4 hours, make sure that you rotate your collar. And when dogs are in the crate at night, I recommend taking the collars off. Any other time that the dog is out of the crate, this should be on. If you don't have the collar on the dog will become collar smart. Let's say you only put it on when you're going out off leash. The dog is going to be collar smart. They're not going to want to comply with commands inside the house because they think they only have to do it when this is on. So you want to make sure the dog is wearing their collar at all times that it's supervised. If the dog is unsupervised, obviously take the collar off and crate your dog. Okay, a couple other things. You never put this on and just expect a dog to know training. That's not proper use of an e-collar. To use an e-collar, you have to teach things on low levels, teach the dog the commands before ever correcting. The way that I teach, there are 3 phases of training. There's a teaching phase on a very low level. There's a prompting phase where the dog gets a stim every time I say the command. And then we move to correction phase. Once the dog absolutely knows the commands, 100%, we will hold them accountable to what they know, and there will be corrections. So the corrections are at a slightly higher level than the low level working level. Do not be a slave to the number though. It's really, really important not to get locked into a number. You need to go by what's working for the dog, if that makes sense. I hope this helps, and I'll see you guys later.